welcome to Friday Night Deploys by the DevPlebs. This is episode 2. I hope everyone's doing great out there, and we made it. We've committed to this. It's episode 2. I'm proud. I hope you're proud. You're listening to it. Here I have with me, as always, Keith Brewster.
Yep.
How you doing, Keith?
I'm here.
Yeah, good.
And yeah, episode 2, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because I can't do it by myself. I need you.
You want me to say something?
Say you need me back.
Sorry. I didn't realize it was that kind of relationship.
I was hoping.
I need you back.
I need you back. Yep,
Is that a song?
My song now. It's gonna be the DevPlebs new single. This is listen to Friday Night Deploys again. Oh, this is great. This, if you don't know already, if this is your first time tuning in, this is a web development podcast, or maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't think it is.
I don't know. You didn't seem too confident.
I was asking the audience, guys. Is this a web development podcast?
Yeah, the last episode made it seem like we're much more lifestyle, which I'm okay with.
I'm fine with that. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like that's kind of what's missing a little bit in some areas. We're human beings and we like to pretend we're funny.
At least you're aware that we're not funny.
No, I know very well. I'm reminded every day of how unfunny I am.
That's it's the most important step of the 12-step process.
Yeah.
Is acceptance.
Accept how unfunny you are. Oh, this is so good. Yeah, well, we're going to talk about, I don't know, some web development stuff. We're going to talk about ourselves, and hopefully you guys have fun.
Yeah, actually going back to the we're not funny thing. So in my Twitter bio, I had pretending to be funny on the internet, and I made a joke one time, and someone commented, they're like, "Is that a joke?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I don't know if it is now that I had to explain that it was a joke. And I was like, I mean, I guess that's why it says trying to be funny in my bio.
Did he get it?
Yeah. Well, then he's like, yeah, we can't be on 100% of the time. And I felt really bad.
I didn't realize you were awakening something in him.
Yeah. Left me with a real complex after that. And then I removed that out of my bio because...
That's sad. That's some serious...
Yeah. That's...
Existential. Well, I hope that guy's listening, and I hope he feels really bad about scaring you away from your original bio. You know, on Twitter? It was Twitter. You said Twitter, right? Yeah, Twitter.
Is there any other social media?
I don't know. I don't go on Twitter too much. I try to. I mostly lurk these days. I try and come up with some funny content, but it's really hard being funny.
It is. That's why I have a team of writers.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good idea.
That's how I earned my 321 followers. So
do you get paid by every 301 followers?
321.
Yeah, 320. Oh, sorry.
Yes, please get it right. It's very important to me.
Okay, well, we'll talk later. We'll talk later about Twitter. I need some help. Let's start off with some wins. Keith, did you have any wins this week?
Did I have any wins?
Yeah, did you win?
I won. Maybe once or twice.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So as mentioned in last week's episode, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, just pause this and go back and listen to it.
Yeah, you're going to miss all the inside jokes if you don't go back and listen, so you definitely need to listen.
It's true. It's very important.
There's some backstories that's really going to fill out. It's going to pay off at the end.
I would say it's absolutely paramount to listening to this podcast that you understand all of the inside jokes.
And I hope you're listening and you remember this because we're going to remind you every single episode that you just start on episode 1 if you want to understand the plots.
Yeah, and we mentioned in the last episode as well, we will be dropping one single keyword in each episode, and by episode 99, you will use them to unlock the secret to a 6-figure salary.
Woo, 6-figure salary!
Yes. Oh, back to my wins.
Yeah, wins.
So last week I mentioned that I was starting a new job, and I started it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been... It's true. I have not been fired yet.
That
is a win.
That's a win in my books. Did you get fired today?
Yeah, I am an HR nightmare.
You are. You're a goddamn right, man.
Yes, so started a new job and been doing the onboarding process.
Have you been enjoying it?
I am enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I have been watching mandatory training videos, and they are as exciting as they sound.
Yeah, you're flying through it quicker than I thought, because I thought the first day you were going a little slower, but because you were getting distracted a lot, because I sit next to you and I'm very distracting. But you kind of scream through them.
It is, I mean, it's sort of dry content.
It is.
A lot of reading, a lot of like 70s safety videos.
Well, the 70s safety one I think was the greatest one. That was the most entertaining one. I think it was all the boring like policy ones that were kind of more serious, and there's no funny fake acting in it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And now I am well equipped to deal with Class A to D fire extinguishers.
Whoop.
Would you like to know about the different fire extinguishers?
I mean, we went through the same training, but sure.
Oh, yeah?
No,
All right, what's a Class C fire extinguisher?
I don't remember.
Wow.
I'm not a fire warden. At the end of the video, it just says like, "Hey, don't use it."
Well, you...
By the way, it doesn't mean you're trained, so don't use it. Let the real firefighters do it. They don't even use these fire extinguishers.
I'm very disappointed in you.
You should be. That's where I am from. Disappointment. Friday night disappointments is more like it.
Anyways, Class C fire extinguishers are for electrical fires.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now. I remember
Do you?
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember
How
that.
convenient.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like you said it and it just rang a bell because you told me.
But yes, so been going through onboarding meetings, going through the onboarding materials, going through the mandatory training, and I think I'm through it all now. I think I'm ready.
Yay.
I think I'm ready to go out into the world and put on my big boy pants.
And wield fire extinguishers. You can dual wield them.
That's true. I'm gonna...
It's well, classy. Oh.
That was bad. All right. Are we trading wins? Are we going in back and forth order here, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure the format.
Let's go.
So we did it all in our own chunks last week. But do you want to mix things up?
Nah, let's just keep going. This is good. This is fine.
All right. It's gonna be like that.
Yeah, I'm toning you down.
I got 8 hours of sleep on the weekend. I will consider that a win because that must be like the first time in 2019.
Yeah, it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year for sleep.
Yeah.
Good going.
So yeah, it was really nice when I turned on my alarm and it's like, you have 9 hours.
Oh, that's bliss.
It really is. I can't describe like that moment for me. Just that realization.
You're just so happy. You just fall into a bed of feathers and just.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know.
You just can't even.
I can't even. I'm just reminiscing on it, and I just.
Keith just fell asleep. He looked at his.
Fell asleep just thinking about it.
Looked at his phone and saw it again, and just went back.
I took a picture with my wife's phone of my phone with the alarm saying 9 hours. No, I didn't.
Okay. Oh, you should have.
I should have.
That would have been great.
So that was real good. That was my biggest win, I'd say.
I'm jealous. I think every time I go to bed, it's like 6.5 hours is the most I ever get to see, and I still makes me sad.
Yeah. So getting the podcast sorted out. I mean,
yeah, that was a win in itself.
Yeah. Last week I mentioned podcast hosting, which I guess was a different beast.
Yeah.
Getting the podcast sorted out, getting all the platforms set up. Google Play took like 5 days to verify us.
Yeah, I was actually expecting Apple to take the longest.
I mean, they were pretty long. They were like 2 or 3 days. But yeah, Google Play was like 5 days. Mm-hmm. They just did not like our content.
It's too raw.
It's too raw for them. Yeah, that's true. They can't handle us. We're too real.
The real world.
It's not even a good joke.
It just has the word real in there, really.
Is that it?
That was what I was going for.
Is that how low the bar has become?
It's because we're like the real world, man. We're like living in the real world.
Oh, I miss episode 1.
Actually, it's not the real. It's actually not. You're not living in the real world because you're getting more than 8 hours sleep. You're living in some kind of fantasy.
It is, and it is the best fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, what was your win again? podcast. You were going to talk about podcasting.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did it. We made an episode 1.
We did it.
And here we are in episode 2.
Yeah.
We've come a lot farther than I had really low expectations for us. So it's nice to see us going above and beyond.
We did it. That's why I'm so happy.
So yeah, podcast. It's on all sorts of different platforms except a website.
Coming soon.
Which is like the most convenient place for people to listen to like an embedded stream on a website, because not everyone has, premium accounts on the different platforms.
Well, don't speak so soon. This is definitely recorded on Fridays.
Yes, this is a live recording.
So it may or may not be online. Keith might be lying, so who knows?
Yeah, I have been known to lie in the past.
You're a filthy liar.
Maybe.
That's when you know a developer's hard at work. Is this going to be done? Maybe.
Yeah, that's it. I'll give a time estimate. I'll put it in the backlog.
Put it in the backlog.
Next sprint. But yeah, it's available on something called TuneIn. I had never heard of it before, but we're on there.
Is it Microsoft? Is it the Zune? Is it Tune? Is it TuneIn by Zune?
Stop. I feel as though we established some sense of like respect.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Last week, people might have taken us seriously.
Someone's listening to this on a Zune, I bet.
There's no one.
I wish.
Only my old roommate Kevin would be listening to this on a Zune. He's the only person I knew that ever owned a Zune. He really loved it. He was very disappointed when they killed it. A real tragic day for him.
Yeah, I bet.
Like you with the PS Vita.
Yeah, oh God, don't bring up bad memories, okay? It's still good. It's the best portable gaming device ever made.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Better than a Nokia with Snake?
Like an N-Gage?
No, I meant just like the phone.
Okay. Did you ever have an N-Gage?
I did not have an N-Gage.
Did you? I didn't.
Why did you? Of course you did.
It was amazing.
You just had all of the deadest hardware.
I had Sonic on it.
I didn't realize they had...
Yeah, they had a Sonic game on it. It was actually pretty good.
Was it?
I think so. I don't know. My memory of Sonic game, it was a 2D Sonic game, so it was kind of okay.
Okay.
Those are usually okay. Those are the okay ones. This is not a video game podcast.
No, it could be.
Could be.
Video games and anime.
I kept my mouth shut about anime so far. Don't make me start.
It's too late now.
I'll start now. Did you have any other wins?
Did I ever? No. How about you?
Do you
have wins?
Yeah, I have some wins.
How many? Give me a number, and I'm going to keep track.
23.
All right.
Let's go.
Number 1.
Number 1. You started working with me.
Is that a win for you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I referred you, so I mean, like...
That's true.
I kind of won. I went in and I just clotheslined everyone and said, "Listen here, everyone. I'm coming to town and I'm bringing my attack partner." And then, that's
not your best voice.
No, it's not. It wasn't my best one, but I did. I'll just short form. I did a big promo, and then I said Keith is going to come to work with me.
You cut a hot promo.
Yeah, I did.
It's true. You know what? It's definitely you need the combination of in-ring skills and microphone skills.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm glad that you cut a sick promo.
Yeah. So that was nice. It was nice to have you back. It was nice working with you in the past, and now I get to work with you again, and it's in a better place. So that was kind of a win.
Well, that's nice. That was a very nice thing of you to say.
You're welcome. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to have you.
Friday night joys.
Friday night
with
joys
with the DevPlebs.
Oh, that's so nice.
Bonjour, bienvenue.
I played Outer Wilds finally. That video is a video game. It was a video game that came out, I think, last week. Last week. I've had a saga trying to play that video game.
Yeah.
I wanted to play it on my PC because I have a PC at home where I play video games sometimes, and I have like a decent setup. And then I have Game Pass, and I tried to play it, and it kept crashing, and I kept getting really frustrated because I kept spending the 1 hour I have of free time at home after the kids go to bed to play Outer Wilds, and then it kept crashing. And I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to frame rate, so I didn't want to turn on my Xbox and download it on there because I was afraid it was going to run like 30 frames, and then I wouldn't like it, and I would just stop playing. And after like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 days of attempting to play it on the PC, I finally just gave up, and I installed it on my Xbox, and then the other night, my girlfriend wasn't watching TV, so I decided to jump on and play some Outer Wilds, and the game's fun. I had a good time with that game.
I just let you do that entire little monologue there, letting you mispronounce the name Outer Worlds.
Oh, dang
Outer
it!
Wilds.
Oh, I keep messing this up. Well, it's not my fault. No, sorry. Yeah, I haven't played Outer Wilds. I do want to play Outer Wilds, actually. I think it's on Game Pass as well.
What is Outer Wilds? That's a thing?
Oh, yeah, Outer Wilds is a game, yeah. It's an indie game that came out. It was a weird backstory, actually, to it. It was, like, made by a bunch of students previously, like, in a university to, like, try and explain physics or quantum physics or something in a video game. And then, like, everyone liked it enough, and then they just kept working on it to make it, like, into an actual game they released. It's like I do want to check it out. People have been saying like it's like a fun game and there's no combat in it. It's kind of like an exploration game kind of, but there's no combat.
What a fun piece of trivia.
Yeah, they gamify things in a nice way. The writing's really really good apparently, and it's a little short. But sorry, I wasn't playing that. I should play that. Outer Worlds is a much different video game. It's still spacey.
Wow, way to confuse the audience.
Sorry, audience. I'm sorry. Everyone's cursing and throwing out their copy of Outer Wilds. I thought you were recommending this.
They're throwing their Zunes out the window that they're listening to this podcast on.
There goes my Zune. That's a song.
Is it?
It's gonna be.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to play. That's fun. There's a lot of dialogue options in that game. I like that. It's cool. I hope to play some more of that. That's a win for me. How many more do I have? I have
21.
Okay, 21.
21 left.
What else have I done? This week hasn't been very eventful, so like it's been a week.
It has been exactly a week.
It's been a week. It's been exactly a week listening to it on. This is a Friday, and it's been a week.
2 out of 23 wins.
Did I win?
I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed.
You know, I was at 2. Did I have 2 or 3? I'll give a third one.
Give me a third.
I got to chill out. I did nothing.
Sweet.
Third win. I got to relax and hang out. Yeah, that's all.
You're so youthful.
I know. I just so hip.
So,
That's what happens when you I don't know.
God.
What's our topic? Speaking of doing nothing when you get home sometimes.
Is this a segue?
This is a segue.
I don't... It is, I guess. Is it a good one?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out next time.
See you next week on Friday Night Deploys.
This week we're gonna talk about some work-life balance. Is that it?
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance. What is that?
That's when you balance your work and life. No, I'm not going to do that. It's when you try and maintain a balance in your lifestyle. This is a terrible explanation again. You can't use the same words in the answer. Work-life balance is kind of like balancing between. Keith, what's work-life balance?
Work-life balance is.
It's when you balance your work with your life. Oh my god.
All right, we need to. So, work-life balance. We're going to try, I think. How about you try an analogy and I'll try an analogy? Do you have an analogy?
Oh, I didn't have an analogy prepared. Got
anything?
I have a textbook definition maybe.
Okay.
But now I have to come up with an analogy.
Well, you don't have to. Okay. Just, you know what?
All right.
You do the textbook, I'll do the analogy.
Okay, yeah. Work-life balance. I would say it's like balancing your professional life with your personal life.
Ah, that's a good definition.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you know, the work segment can be like your full-time job. It could be maybe things related to advancing your career, whether it's, you know, outside of your full-time job or not. And like, you know, your personal life is like spending time with your family, spending time on you, kind of just living as a person and not living as a developer or a Twitter fiend. What's your analogy? Do you have an analogy?
Do I have an analogy?
Yeah,
I do. Work-life balance is kind of like Batman. Sometimes...
Does this classify as an analogy?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Or is this just more of an example?
What's the difference?
Go for it.
Yeah, pull up the textbook definition of analogy then, Mr. Smarty Pants.
I will. I'm very smart. They call me Dr. Dictionary.
Dr. Dictionary.
Dr. Dick for short.
As long as that's not enough that I have to click the explicit tag on
So sorry.
our podcast. No, I think we're good.
No, it's Richard.
I don't know.
No, it's Richard.
Dr. Richard Dictionary.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, you know what? Just let's scrap what I say. It's not gonna get any better than that.
No. What is Batman?
Oh, I don't know.
The Batman.
I've got something else on my mind now. Words.
It's man. How does Batman balance his work-life balance?
You know, sometimes he puts on the cape.
The cape?
The cape.
Yeah, I guess he's a cape.
He does have a cape.
I think people usually say the mask.
I think the cape is the more important part of the whole ensemble.
Yeah. He wouldn't be a bat otherwise.
Well, he's the Caped Crusader.
No. Is he?
I hope so.
I've been calling him wrong all this time.
Or else
Oh, no.
I have some angry DMs later.
I'm just like picturing like a crowd of like thugs who are like, oh, it's the Batman. And then one of them's like, oh, it's the Caped Crusader. What? Yeah, you know, he wears cape and he crusades.
Yeah.
A bat looks more like an armadillo to me, I don't know.
Jesus. It's going to take a long time to get into this topic. Yeah. And then sometimes he's not in the cape.
Sometimes there you go. Sometimes
He's got a lot of money to spend. I don't know what billionaires do.
White capes. That's the only way they can balance their work life is wearing capes and not wearing capes.
That's it. That's the two states you can exist in. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's work-life balance.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. That's all we've got for this episode.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Batman, then you don't even need to listen to this. You already know how to do it.
If you are a fan of the Caped Crusader.
Caped Crusader. You know, like Cape begins and the Cape Knight returns.
Oh, God. Yeah, so... Oh, boy. All right.
Oh.
I don't know if I can do this podcast anymore.
I'm so sorry. Episode 2, the final episode.
We had a good 2-episode run.
It's gone off the rails now. Work-life balance. Would you say it's pretty hard in our industry to keep a work-life balance?
I would say that it is difficult in our industry. I mean, I guess it depends on your personality. Because there's a lot of developers out there that just kind of scrape by day to day. They're just, they're just in it for a paycheck. They're just in it to have like a day job. And I don't think they're as affected by the sort of troubles of work-life balance that other developers face. But I think if you're passionate about the industry and you're trying to stay relevant in the industry, at one point or another, it's going to become an unavoidable fact that you have an imbalance in your work life.
That's true. I feel like that's kind of like a bliss that they get for people who don't really have a passion. They just kind of come in and come out, and they don't really care when they got it nailed down. They come home and they don't care. I envy them.
Yeah, I hate caring about things.
I know what you mean. I do too. It sucks. Because sometimes when you're passionate about the industry that you work in and you want to keep getting better, it's hard to go home and stop thinking about it. Or stop thinking of ways that you can do different things to make yourself better the next day or next week.
I think part of the problem is tech as an industry moves so fast and everything is just constantly changing.
And I think web development itself is its own bucket of moving quickly.
Because if you look in a lot of other industries, like obviously tools and methods change, but nowhere near the same pace that they do in development.
Yeah. I mean, it's like entirely new frameworks that come out, or just things that try to replace an old thing. Like, I don't even think it was that long ago that Webpack was kind of like the hot, cool thing to have. And then seeing articles being like, forget that Webpack stuff. We got parcel and roll up. I'm like, well, I don't even fully understand Webpack. I think Webpack 4 just came out, right? Yeah, it makes me feel like an old man.
You call that a bundler? You call that a knife?
This is a knife. That joke was that was The Simpsons, right?
It was in The Simpsons. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure it actually was in Crocodile Dundee, and then The Simpsons parodied it.
That was what I was wondering, because I knew that was when I first heard it, but I couldn't. Thinking about it now, I was like, oh, did they come up with that? They probably parodied it, but yeah, that's good. Good to know. The Simpsons is really good at managing a work-life balance.
Are they?
Yeah, Homer Simpson does a great job.
That's true.
It doesn't even work.
And then, The Simpsons creators manage a great work-life balance by outsourcing all of the animation to countries that produce it much cheaper.
Oh, do they do that?
And then they get to coast.
That's a shame. Did they do that recently, or was that like an old thing?
I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but yes.
Well, that's a shame. Well, this Simpsons reference took a dark turn. For me, anyway.
It's okay. I'll cut it. I just cut all of our problems.
Yeah. Just cut it out of the podcast. Where were we at?
Yeah, so like this morning I was reading about a JavaScript framework that I had never even heard of called like Aurelio.
Aurelio?
Aurelio, something like that.
How's it spelled? Like an A?
Like Aureli.
Oh, yeah.
And then either an A or an O. I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but they just dropped version 2. And yeah, apparently like it competes with the other ones.
All the other ones?
All the other ones.
I mean, at that point, yeah. All the other ones.
Yeah, so I just saw that in a newsletter today, and I was like, pardon?
Was it a big headline saying the next thing to kill React? Losers.
I'm gonna take off my shirt and you'll see my svelte tattoo across my chest.
Svelte tattoo.
But yeah, so it's a very fast-moving industry, and like you don't want to get left behind. The last thing you want to do is come out of a job and realize that the world has changed around you.
Yeah,
it's like when you've served a life sentence in prison and you come out and all of a sudden, like, everything is super weird. Everyone's vaping.
It's micro front ends everywhere. What the?
So obviously there can be a huge pressure to kind of keep up with things. And, maybe depending on the work that you do, like if you're in like an agency or something and jumping between projects, you're constantly jumping into different technology stacks.
Sometimes you have to be a lot more flexible when you come into an agency, because you either get new contracts that require work and sudden work in specific things, and there might be people who don't even know these frameworks or languages when they get picked. It sucks, but like sometimes you got to learn it quickly.
I'm jumping into a project, like I want to be doing my best work. I want to make sure that I'm not just shipping crap code. So I take a lot of effort to like read through best practices, and I don't want to just string together some hacky code that somehow compiles and runs. Like I want to make sure that like I'm actually delivering a good product.
Yeah, and that shows. Like when you're putting passion behind something, it shows when people are going in to review it or going back to do it, or even you see it yourself when you go back to refactor or change something and you go, oh geez, what did I do?
And I think part of the problem is like all of these new tools and platforms come out to solve problems that have already been solved, but like it's the new shiny way of solving it.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between trying to keep up with what's coming up new or seeing what kind of things are happening, and then chasing always the next new thing, claiming that it's going to solve all the world's problems.
I worked with a guy named Sandus. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
And one morning during stand-up, he coined the term hype-driven development, where they're working with a project with a client, and the client just wanted all of the shiniest things.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. Put it on a shirt.
What was it?
Hype-driven development.
Hype-driven development. Yep.
It's good.
HDD.
HDD.
I like it.
So again, with all of these constantly evolving platforms and new ways of doing things, it can be incredibly overwhelming for a developer to understand what they should be learning.
Yeah, and all those resumes out there that have like 15 different frameworks and languages on them can also mislead people to thinking that. don't trust them. They don't. You don't need to know 15 different languages and frameworks.
So do you have any examples of you burning out?
Like actual stories of me dealing with this problem.
Yeah.
I've definitely dealt with this problem. I think a number of times. I would say like when I was first starting out as a junior developer, or well, I guess I don't know what you classify it as. I came out of school and I got my first job. Sometimes people like to call that a junior. Some people like to not call it a junior. I kind of freaked out because I felt like I needed to know everything that was new, and like I had done like some kind of JavaScript. I'd done a little bit of Node, and I knew that's what I needed to. That's what I was going to be doing at work. I also knew that there were plans in the works and where I was working that we were going to start using React. And I had never even heard of React. I had no idea what it was doing. And I decided to think that I needed to jump directly into it without really getting a really strong grasp on like JavaScript, on like doing any kind of like front-end JavaScript work. So what I ended up happening was that I was just overwhelmed completely by how React does anything, and didn't know the line between what kind of patterns are specific to React or functions that are specific to React, and what is just JavaScript. And that was like step one of me just going of not being able to learn it properly. And then I was also tackling Node at the same time because I knew it a little bit, but I wasn't by all means an expert. And on top of Node, we were using a framework called Express, which does make things a lot easier, but that's another thing to kind of unpack and try and figure out what is Express and what is Node, and trying to learn all those at the same time. I just had like a big graveyard of like broken repositories that just didn't run, didn't do anything, and every time I came away from it, I felt like crap.
So would you say that you reacted poorly?
I reacted very poorly. Did not pre-act at all. Yeah, but that was maybe my example as a junior of kind of dealing with that first kind of overwhelming of libraries and packages and just needing to learn so many things at the same time. And at first glance, it seems like it might not be that much, but it's a lot when you're trying to do all that and specialize in that all at once. Do you have any examples?
I have a couple of examples. Yeah. I would say, which one do you want?
You can give a senior one. I give a junior one. I got lots of other examples, but I don't want to like just go on a ramble.
All right, I'll give my senior one. Yeah.
Senior one.
There was a point that like I was starting to move up in my career, and I ended up in a position where I felt like I didn't belong. You know, it's difficult, especially when starting out and you look up to these people and you think that they're just these super brilliant developers that can solve absolutely anything. And then I ended up in a senior developer position, and I'm just like, well, do I belong here? Like, I feel as though that I still struggle a lot with a ton of different things. Mm-hmm. I still find myself challenged by things where I assume that senior developers just like had a problem put in front of them, and they just like matrixed their way through it. Yep. Like at the end when Neo jumped through Agent Smith.
That's what you need to do to become a senior developer. Yeah, that's jump into the internet and tear it apart.
They just like look at the world and everything's just ones and zeros, and they can just manipulate the physical world.
It's like, I get it.
So I just started trying to load up on as much knowledge as possible on everything. And I was just spending all of my free time just reading through absolutely every piece of content that I could find. And like at that point, there's no way to actually soak any of that in. It's just noise. Like I might have been able to pick up like a couple things, but I was just reading for the sake of just trying to know as much as possible. Like you can keep up with that for a short period of time, but eventually like you're just sacrificing your free time to just constantly read through all of these emails you get every day that are loaded with articles, and it's exhausting. And
you end up kind of like with that kind of thing where like, you know, something doesn't really start sticking with you. You don't really start knowing it unless you keep doing it.
Yeah, and that's the best way to learn something is to actually use it in a practical setting. But I was just trying to
consume everything.
I was just trying to just slam information violently into my brain.
And that's when you finally realized you were a senior developer. You started slamming it into your brain.
Yeah, I finally realized I was a senior developer when I got depressed. No, but
Hey-o. no.
I think that's kind of a misconception that you have to get over, is that a senior developer doesn't necessarily mean they can solve every challenge in the world. It just...
No, by all means, no.
You know what? Maybe I think that's a good idea for a topic, is like becoming a senior developer.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, and I think that'll be an interesting point of view as well. No spoilers, but because I mean, like, I don't want to go too much on it now, but like, yeah, like I feel like the thing that bothers me about the senior developers, I'm not going to go too much into detail on my senior story, is that I feel like some people put arbitrary barriers on certain titles, and I think senior developer has like the biggest, scariest barrier, because there's no official, like, no one goes around going like, oh, I'm an intermediate developer. It's either like you're a developer or you're a senior developer. There's a junior developer, but then there's gray areas around like, what's a junior developer? Is that an intern, or is that a new developer? Like, what is that even? And then it's so like you have this web developer area, which just seems to be like anyone who knows how to make a website. And then you have senior developer, which just seems to be like the super genius who can solve everything. And you get told, like, you know, you need X amount of years of experience in this, and you need to know this, and you have to be able to do this. You have to, you know, and it's like, it's daunting. So like, as someone who's a developer, you're trying to attain this goal of being a senior developer. And you're trying to consume everything you can. You're trying to solve all the problems you can. You get frustrated and sad when you can't solve the certain problems, thinking, oh, I'll never be a senior developer at this rate. And it comes down to like, when you get hired as a senior developer is when you become a senior developer.
Because everyone gauges it in different ways.
Yeah, it's like, completely different.
There's no like step-by-step guide.
Yeah, and like maybe that's if I have one tip on like how to become a senior developer before we do the senior developer, don't wait to get promoted to be a senior developer if it's not any in the horizon. It's if you want to become a senior developer, just see if you can attain a job elsewhere with the title of a senior developer, maybe.
The real way to become a senior developer is to
start your own company.
Is to hunt and consume a senior developer and absorb their title.
That's perfect, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Steal their title, and you'll become a senior developer. Yeah, yeah.
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance. Not to get too tied up.
Do you have any other experience of maintaining a poor work-life balance?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like that's always an eternal struggle that I have, really. It's something that I've definitely struggled with and been able to look back and pick apart and, you know, get better at doing it. But it's still something that every now and then rears its head up that I struggle with. I'd say it's mostly when you just think about getting into that grind of just learning as much as you can, or just trying to do the most you can for the work you're at, trying to put in the extra work to make yourself look good, or, you know, maybe you just have a lot of passion in what you're doing and you want to excel. You want to show people that you care. And sometimes you can think to yourself, well, I can just take this home and I can just put in extra work, and then everyone's going to know how cool I am when they find out how much extra time I put into this. But I'm not going to tell anyone I put extra time into this, because I don't want to be that person who comes into the office and goes, yeah, I stayed up all night last night working on this stuff. I'm pretty dedicated, because no one wants to hear that. But at the same time, you want people to know that you put in the effort you did.
Yeah, you want validation.
Yeah, you want validation, and everyone does that, and I've been there. I've done that too. I don't know where I'm going with this necessarily, but it's other than like, that's what I did, and I had a lot of trouble keeping that. Once I brought that work home, I had a lot of trouble not taking it home again. I got into this really bad pattern of just that was my life. I just come home, I can just work on stuff. And, you know, I started to go a little bit crazy. I started to focus a little less on, like, you know, just kind of taking care of myself, spending time with my family. And it just came to a point where I got sick of it. And I kind of like did like a reverse. I just kind of just really took a break from taking work home. And I think I even just kind of like, it affected me when I went back to work too. I think I spent some days a lot less motivated and almost a little bitter, because I spent so much time at home doing all that work. So like it's been a rough time. So proceed with caution if you're going to take a lot of work home with you.
That's good advice.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So when you lost motivation at work, did you spend all day watching full screen Netflix?
I definitely did. No, I didn't. But we did know someone who did that.
Yes, and...
Is your direct reference.
It's true. Wow. I'm so glad you caught on to that.
Yeah, although that person could fall into the category of what we spoke about earlier about someone who literally just came in for a paycheck. But he was like the worst kind of person because he didn't even come and program while he was at work. He just watched Netflix all day. Full screen.
Yeah, my favorite time was when the co-founder of the company was in our office and he was still just full screen Netflix, tilted back in his chair, feet up on the desk, and then a nude scene came on the movie he was watching as, again, full screen with the co-founder in the office, and he scrambled to try and hide his nudie videos. And it was really funny.
It was really funny. I liked it because I was the one, we sat almost back to back, and I happened to turn around as that scene came on, and it was just hilarious watching him scramble to like minimize it or just like close it down. And I was just like, what is he watching?
And then after that, he just stuck to Ben 10.
Ben 10, Naruto, and...
Oh, we watched him watch an entire episode, and as it ended, he clicked and dragged the slider back to the beginning of the episode and watched it again.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone do that before in my life, and I don't know, that must have been a really good episode. It's a good example of a terrible work-life balance because there's no work and there's no life. So
it's just it's just all existing.
Just Ben 10 and nudie scenes on Netflix.
Honestly, sounds like a pretty good life.
So whoa, please.
Yeah,
Be professional.
Sorry, Dr. Dictionary.
Friday, Dr. Dick. Thank you very much. Do you have any examples of when you maybe had a hard time trying to balance your work life with your personal life?
Yes. Well, maybe less that, but
yeah,
there was a time not too long ago. Actually, I don't know. It's like over a year ago now.
Yeah.
But I was working accidentally 2 jobs.
Accidentally.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
Well, the one project I was on went on a break. Just went on a little break. The client needed to sort some stuff out. They were trying to renegotiate some terms. So so the project's going to be on pause for like a couple weeks. And I was like, all right. And then like a month and a half later, I was like, so I need a job. Like, like the break has been nice, but I need to pay my rent.
Yeah.
So I ended up, that was the second time we worked together.
Exactly.
I ended up working with you.
Good old DevPlebs Phil came in and I got you a job.
Yeah, I got the hookup.
You want to make a low amount of money? Come work with me.
I always take pay cuts when I work with you. I don't know what it is.
Comes with me.
Yeah. You bring me down.
I don't bring you up.
So I started working with Phil, and I'd say like 2 weeks after I started my first company, they're like, all right, project's back on. And I was like, oh, well, some news, guys, but I kind of took a full-time job because I was working like remote and I was contract, and I don't know. I didn't know if the project was ever going to start back up again. No one had any information about it. So I just had to get a job, and they were like, yeah, so project's back on. And I was like, well, I don't have my hours anymore.
They're all gone. I looked for them, but I couldn't find them.
I lost all my hours. I don't know. I checked under the couch cushions. Couldn't find them anywhere.
Phil took them from me.
He's always taking everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
And so I was like, listen, but I can work part-time. Like, I'm willing to do some hours every week. And they're like, all right. And like, what can you do? And I was like, 10 hours sounds fine. And they're like, cool, 10 hours a week it is. Anyways, that was a lie.
Was it 10 long hours? Was it just 50?
Yes, it was 10 long hours that most humans would measure as 20 to 30 hours.
Most, not all of them. Some of them.
Time is a human construct.
Yeah.
So basically, I was almost working 2 full-time jobs for a while.
Yeah, you were going crazy.
Yeah, because the work really picked up. And the problem was, like, we were a pretty small team. So, like, we had all of the work planned out, like the whole scope of work and our sprints. But then bugs from the previous sprints would also just get dumped in to the next sprint, which still all the work needed to be completed. So it was just all of the bug fixes on top of that. So it just like compounded. And like there was points where I was working like 80, 90-hour weeks. And it was not maintainable.
Yeah, there were some days you came in and you were just miserable. You could just, I mean, like sometimes you try to hide it, but like you could just tell how like just not in the mood you were for anything. And it's not like you were like ever mean or anything, or you were like grumpy. There was sometimes someone would talk to you, and as a conversation I would talk to you, and like your expression on your face would just be so blank. You'd just be like staring into space, trying to like recount your hours that you need. And
yeah, I mean, there was some nights where, like, I was working till 2:30 in the morning and then waking up at 6:30 for work, just seeing that 4 hours till my alarm clock went off. And it was something I felt that I needed to do. Like, I felt like I had a responsibility to both jobs. And I started to put a strain on my relationship with my wife because, like, I was always grumpy and always working and never had time to do anything. So, when I ended up finding a job in the city, it was such a great moment because I could just drop down to one job.
Yeah, you were significantly happy. That was maybe the happiest part you had about finding that city job, was you could just drop to one job.
Yeah, part of it was my fault because I didn't really establish boundaries with my coworkers. So like they would call me at like 12:30, 1 in the morning, and they'd be like, "Hey, we need to fix this bug." And I would like crawl out of bed and go downstairs and work on it. And I mean, it was pretty much like my first big development job, and I was building this web app from the ground up. So like I felt a lot of ownership with it, and I felt like a responsibility to have all the work done. But that is also no excuse to sacrifice, your mental health to get an app out.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. And that's the problem. I think it's a lot of problem with a lot of development. When you do a lot of development, is you get that that sense of ownership to something that you feel you need to overcommit to it and put your entire body into it. And sometimes that can take a toll.
Yeah, if I could give any tip to managing a work-life balance, it's that if you get home from work and you turn on Netflix and you think to yourself, you kind of have like this doubt. You're like, should I be watching this, or should I be like studying this new framework that my job needs? And then like you decide to watch a show and then you like feel this sense of guilt. Like that's unhealthy. Like you need to be able to have a life outside of development. And if you enjoy development, that's cool. Like I really enjoy development. I like doing side projects and doing it in my free time. But when you start feeling guilty for not doing it, like that's when you need to, take a look at your current current priorities.
Yeah. And that's a perfect way to put it. That's a lot of what I had to do to resolve my issues with trying to maintain a work-life balance, was prioritizing the things that I do and don't do. Or like the way I kind of split it up was things that I need to spend time with and things that I want to spend time with, or like need to spend time with, but I can schedule it on a different day. So like I had my need to things that I need to do every single day for the most part, and I put spending time with my significant other, spending time with my children, and then my full-time job. Those are generally things that I can't or shouldn't get around on my day-to-day. Those are things I need to do. And then I put things that I want or need to do, but can have some flexibility of kind of, spending time with maybe like other family, like, kind of like, your brother, your sister, your parents, whatever. You don't have to see them every day, obviously, and you should talk to other people like friends and stuff, but you can move them around. You have more willingness.
Do you know who doesn't have brothers or sisters or parents?
Who?
The Caped Crusader.
The Caped Crusader. Dang it. I don't know how he does it then.
I don't know.
He has lots to juggle.
Yeah, he has billions of dollars.
He's got billions of dollars. That's kind of like his friends and family.
That's true. I think I would argue it's better than friends and family.
You could buy those friends and talk to the friends with billions of dollars.
Buy an audience for your podcast.
You could buy audience. You could buy Twitter followers. You could buy Facebook friends. I don't want this. That's stupid. Twitter followers is where it's at. That's really it.
Yeah.
Maybe Instagram followers. You could buy Instagram followers too.
But yeah, no, that's a really good point you bring up. Is you have to have your priorities.
Yeah.
And especially like if you're early in your career, you might feel like a pressure to like do everything to move up or like be recognized. But at what cost?
Yeah, and it can get even harder when you have much more interests and more interests like hobbies or even just more things to advance. I put weightlifting, I put video games, I put writing, I put messing around with new side projects for development. Those are all things that I kind of put in my flexible zone where I don't have to do all those things every single day. I can do one of them or two of them every day, or I can do one of them every day and then switch them around a bit. Like it's as long as you have the mindset of as long as you're not obsessing of trying to accomplish every single thing you want to do every single day, then you have a better chance of not going crazy.
So you're saying the secret to achieving a perfect work-life balance is by being incredibly boring?
Yes, if you have no hobbies, if you have no friends or family, if you have no goals to aspire to in your career.
I worked with a guy one time, and I don't think he had any hobbies. I remember it was when I was working at a factory, and I had to do some stuff at lunch, and I had to partner with him. And so I tried to make conversation, and I would bring up a TV reference. He's like, "Oh, I don't watch TV." And then
was it that kind of tone too?
And then,
I don't know.
Yeah, it was very monotone. And then he didn't watch movies and he didn't play video games. And I was like, oh, what do you do when you go home? Do you just sit on a couch and stare at the wall?
Stare into space.
And I was trying to ask him, and it just seemed like he did nothing. He had no hobbies. I also thought he may be a serial killer, but that is
besides the point. That's a hobby.
That is
that's right.
You're right. That is a hobby, I guess.
Writing that down in a newspaper for starting a new job. I'm a serial killer. I like to play ping pong. It's what was that first part? I like cereal.
Yeah, that's his resume. This are his skills and qualifications.
Yeah, you're a real jokester. I really like this. One hobby you keep putting down.
Yeah, no one has found any of the bodies.
Rick keeps putting down serial killer as his hobby, and I can't tell if his joke is going too far. I don't. He took stress relief last week. I think we need to call the cops.
Yeah, so I think that about wraps up everything we have to say about work-life balance.
Yeah, it's all about wonderful advice and amazing stories. Super fun. Super funny.
We're super funny. Tell us we're funny.
Please tell us we're funny. But I hope everyone was able to take home something from our crazy experiences of us driving ourselves crazy. Do you still struggle with work-life balance?
Do I?
Yeah, do you still do it?
Well, I did.
Now you don't?
Let me provide some context. Yeah. So that's kind of why I switched jobs. That was part of the reason. And again, I might have brought this up last week, but it wasn't any fault of my company. I think it's a great company. I still think people should work there. But agency life is far more stressful than a product environment. And that's just the nature of the business. And I'm just at a point in my life where... And this could change in the future, but I'm at a point right now where I really kind of need that work-life balance. I need to maintain just everything that's going on in my personal life. I'm making some big life changes soon, so I think right now just kind of having that nice balance of, when work ends, it ends. Like, it never comes home with you.
Yeah.
It's shorter hours, like guaranteed remote days. So it's a lot more accommodating, I guess, to what I need right now.
I'd say, yeah. It's definitely something I agree. It's something that I don't struggle with now as nearly as much. And not in the same sense. Like, I'm able to make that very clear separation between my work and my personal life. But there is sometimes a little itch of I'll have a very unproductive week, and I'll think to myself that this week I'll be more productive. I should probably be a little bit more productive. I should do this or that, but nowhere near to the extent of where I used to be, where I was always feeling guilty and always trying to just cram as much knowledge as possible to try and hit that next milestone of developerhood. That's better. So.
Yes, I think that is the technical term. Just screaming at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, and I think
just in these stained tidy whities.
You could be a developer. You're the developer that could. Remember this day. But I think definitely that one of the biggest things that accommodates. The biggest thing that accommodates to getting to a really good work-life balance is finding a workplace or a job that really helps promote a work-life balance and makes sure that their employees are able to do that. I think that's one of the first big steps. If you don't have a full-time job that's not letting you do that, it's never going to stop getting in the way of it.
And I think there is a lot of companies out there with the sort of attitude and mentality of just churning through developers, like squeezing every last little bit out of them and then tossing them to the side.
Yep, 100%. And you gotta watch out for those guys.
They're mean boys.
They're mean. They're so mean.
Yeah, and so I think that wraps things up.
Yeah, that's a nice little tidy bow. I think maybe.
I think I already said that it was wrapped up, but then we unwrapped it.
We unwrapped it and we stuffed in some tissue papers and put some more sellotape around the edges.
That's it. This is the true ending.
The true ending of work-life balance.
This is the ending you can only get in New Game Plus.
Yeah, if you stuck around this long and then you start from the beginning again and then made it back to this point, only then will this segment of the podcast will unlock and you'll find the true ending.
Beautiful.
Perfect. It's like a roguelike almost.
All right, so that is the podcast for this week.
That is it.
Yeah, I'm so happy you guys joined us.
We still don't have any messages or emails or anything, but we would love to hear from our lovely audience. And
you're all so beautiful to us.
You're all so beautiful in my eyes coming through the microphone right now. Hi. But we would love to hear from you guys. If you have like any specific work-life balance issues work-life balance issues maybe you're having right now, maybe some stories you've had in the past dealing with it, or any advice you guys might have that you want us to share on the next episode. It'd be great. You can also give us some feedback on how we're doing, how unfunny we are. You can always let us know how unfunny we are.
You can let us know how the quality of our jokes has dropped from episode 1 to episode 2.
How low can we go?
We can go pretty low, I think.
We can go real low. If you want to give some feedback, we're welcome to it. If you want a shout out,
only if it's nice feedback. I have very thin skin.
Well, the problem is I'll take the negative feedback and then I'll find a way to make it positive, and then I'll convince myself that it's always positive, and then I can never take constructive criticism, and then I'll just be delusional.
Wow, that's a really good way of approaching it. I was just going to take all of the negative messages and tattoo them on my body.
It's a reminder. Every time you meet someone
in the mirror, in my stained tighty-whities, screaming at myself.
Look at what you did. And then you could find the people that gave you that negative feedback and you could show them all your tattoos.
I love it.
You're like Maui. You're like Maui from Moana.
I don't think
a really sad Maui from Moana.
That's all I've really aspired to be in life.
It's I tattoo all my negative criticism on my skin.
That's a healthy way of dealing with your problems.
Yeah, but you can reach us at our Twitter. It's at DevPlebs. We have an Instagram too. But I mean, you'll probably want to go on Twitter. We'll most likely be looking at Twitter. You can mention us if you want, or you can put it in a DM if you want to keep it a little bit more private until we read it out. It's up to you guys. But Twitter right now is probably the best way to reach us, I think.
Yeah, or you could take us out for a nice romantic dinner.
That'd be great too.
Yeah,
I love
would
dinners. I love free dinners.
All right. Well, that is the podcast for this week. Yeah. But be excited because there's one next week.
What?
And then one the week after.
And then
we stop for nothing.
We don't stop.
All right. See you next week.
That's going to do it.
All right.
Thank you all for listening. I hope you guys will have a great day and a great night and a great weekend. Just forever and always. Have a good one.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks.